The twin moons of Alari Prime hung low in the sky, casting a silver glow over the royal gardens. The flowers here bloomed only at night, glowing faintly in the darkness. Between those glowing blossoms moved a shadow, quiet, fast, and full of purpose. It was Princess Kalira. She wore a simple dark cloak and soft shoes. No royal guards followed her. No servants waited by the path. She slipped through the garden gate, heart beating fast. If anyone caught her, the queen would be furious. A princess was not supposed to wander at night, especially not toward the human embassy. Kalira had always been curious. As a child, she had read stories about Earth, about its strange creatures, wild lands, and brave warriors. Humans were new to the Ilaria Empire. Most nobles looked down on them, short, emotional beings who lacked psionic gifts. But Kalira did not believe they were weak. She had watched the humans fight beside the Ilari in the war. Some had even died to protect her people. She wanted to see one up close. At the edge of the garden, hidden by large silver-leafed trees, was a broken part of the outer wall. She squeezed through it easily. Beyond the wall was a quiet path leading to the human quarters, guarded only by a sleepy pair of drones that barely noticed movement. Tonight would be her third visit. She walked carefully until she saw him sitting on a bench under a glowing lamp tree. Holding a book, his name was Liam Hayes. He was tall for a human, though still shorter than an Ilari. His hair was a soft brown, his skin a warm shade of tan. He had kind eyes. He wore a black uniform, not of war but of diplomacy, with a translator device clipped to his collar. "You came back," he said with a smile. Kalira pulled her hood lower. "Of course, I told you I would." He stood and bowed, polite but not afraid. "You always arrive like a ghost. You know that, right?" "I prefer the stars over the sun," she said lightly. "It's peaceful here, and quiet." Liam sat. Again, motioning to the bench beside him, she joined him, careful to sit just close enough to hear him clearly. "What are you reading?" she asked. He showed her the cover. "A Brief History of Earth's Wars." Kalira raised an eyebrow. "More war stories? You humans love to fight?" He chuckled. "We love to survive. There's a difference."
Oh.
They often spoke like this, playful. But honest? Kalira never told him she was the princess. She said she was a scholar working in the palace, interested in human culture. Liam believed her, though sometimes he looked at her as if he guessed more. Still, he never asked questions. Tonight, they talked about Earth's oceans, which Kalira found strange. Water that moves and crashes, full of life and storms. "Sounds terrifying. It's beautiful," Liam said. Like danger and peace living together, Kalira looked at him for a long moment. She liked how he spoke. There was no fear in him. No arrogance either. Just curiosity. He looked at her like she was a person, not a tool, not a symbol, not a prize to be claimed. That was rare. Time passed quickly. The moons rose higher. Crickets, teeny singing insects brought by humans, chirped softly in the grass. Kalira stood. "I should return before someone notices I'm gone." "I'll walk with you to the edge," Liam offered. She nodded. They walked slowly, their steps matching. As they neared the garden wall, they both paused. Lights flickered through the trees. Voices, deep and sharp, were calling in the distance. "Alari Patrol," Kalira said, eyes wide. "They find me? What happens?" Liam asked. She hesitated. "They might take me back by force." He frowned. Why would guards treat a scholar like that? She couldn't answer. Not without telling the truth. Liam stepped in front of her. "Come on, this way." He led her around a small grove, then ducked behind a flowering tree with wide silver leaves. They crouched together, close enough that their arms touched. Kalira could hear the guards now. "Check the eastern wall. Someone passed the outer." "Beacon," Liam whispered. "We'll wait until they leave." "Don't worry," Kalira turned to him. His face was serious, but calm. She had never seen someone protect her without orders, without duty, just instinct. "You're not afraid?" she asked quietly. "I've been shot at, chased by drones, and eaten rations for 2 months straight," he whispered with a grin. "This is the least scary thing I've done." Kalira laughed softly. Then, for a moment, they simply stared. At each other, her heart beat faster. She had seen many suitors in her life, warriors, nobles, diplomats. All of them had tried to impress her, to win her favor. None of them ever looked at her the way Liam did, like he actually saw her. The guards moved past without noticing. Silence returned to the garden. Kalira let out a breath. "We're safe now." "Good," Liam said, stepping away. But he stopped. "Kalira, why are you really here?" She froze. "What do you mean? You don't talk like a worker, you move like a fighter." And the guards, they weren't looking for just anyone. She looked away. "Maybe you're smarter than you seem." He gave a small smile. "And maybe you're not who you say you are." She turned back to him. Slowly, she pulled down her hood. Moonlight touched her silver hair and sharp royal features. Liam's eyes widened. "You're Princess Kalira of House Zyril," she said quietly. "Daughter of Queen Zyril, heir to the Sapphire Throne." Liam blinked. "That makes a lot of sense. You're not angry." Oh, he looked at her. "With wonder, I'm honored you trusted me." She smiled, a real rare smile. "Then I hope I didn't make a mistake." "You didn't," he said gently. They stood there, the princess and the human, in the soft glow of alien flowers. Then Kalira said, "I'll see you again tomorrow night." He nodded. "I'll be waiting." She disappeared back through the garden wall, heart still racing not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Princess Kalira stood on the edge of the high palace balcony, looking out at the glowing city of Alari Prime. Airships floated in the sky, their lights soft like stars. The royal towers shone with blue energy, tall and proud, but her heart felt heavy. It had been 3 days since she last saw Liam. After the night the guards nearly found them, security around the palace increased. The queen had given strict orders. Kalira was not allowed to leave the palace alone, not even for a walk in the gardens, and worse. Today she had received a letter. The queen had arranged her marriage to Lord Vurex, a high noble from the North Sector. He was powerful, respected and cruel. He saw people as tools. Kalira had seen him speak to servants like they were dirt. He had once said humans were barely above beasts. She could never marry him. A knock came at her door. It was Nerali, her personal guard and secret friend. Nerali had always known about Kalira's secret visits. "You have a guest," Nerali whispered. "He's waiting in the moon room. I got him in without the scanners noticing." Kalira's heart jumped. "Liam," Nerali smiled. "He said he couldn't wait any longer." Kalira ran. She found Liam standing in the moon room, a quiet chamber with glass walls and soft blue light. He looked nervous but smiled the moment he saw her. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "I know," he said. "But I had to see you." She rushed to him and hugged him tightly. For a moment, all the fear disappeared. "I've missed you," she whispered. "I've missed you too," he said softly. "Kalira, I know who you really are now. And I know what your people expect from you. I need to say something." She pulled back to look at him. "I love you," he said simply. Her breath caught. "I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't know what it means on your world, but on Earth. When we say I love you, we mean we'll stay through anything, even if the world turns against us." She reached up and touched his cheek. "It means the same here." And then she said, "I love you too." They kissed soft, full of feeling and full of fear. Because they both knew love was not enough. Not in a world ruled by law, blood, and duty. Kalira stepped back. "My mother has chosen someone for me, Lord Vurex." Liam's expression turned cold. "I've heard of him. He's the one who said humans are pests." She nodded. "If I marry him, I will never be free." "Then don't." Kalira looked at him. "I have no choice." Liam thought for a moment. "Told me about your people's bonding ritual. The one older than your laws, one that makes a union unbreakable." She nodded slowly. "Yes, the Jalara. It's done between minds, not just bodies. If two souls connect in truth and respect, they become one. Even the queen cannot break it. Then do it with me," Liam said. Kalira's eyes widened. "Liam, I'm not noble, not powerful. I'm just human. but I will never treat you like a tool. I will never command you. I will only walk beside you." Her hands trembled. "If we do this, we will be outcasts." "I don't care," he said. "I'd rather be an outcast with you than a hero without you." Clara stared at him for a long moment. Then she reached for his hand. "Then let's become one." The bonding ritual was done that very night. Clara took Liam deep into the palace's hidden shrine, where blue crystals floated in the air. She drew a circle with light, and they sat inside it, facing each other. She spoke the ancient words. In her language, Liam repeated them in his. Then came the final step. She reached into her mind and opened it to him. It was terrifying. No one had ever seen her true self, her fears, her hopes, her memories, but Liam didn't pull away. He accepted every part of her. Then she felt his mind too. It was full of strength, pain, and deep loyalty. She saw flashes of his past, his time as a soldier, the friends he had lost, the way he had fought not for glory but for survival. He had suffered. And yet, his heart had never turned dark. Their minds touched. Light filled the room when it faded. Their foreheads touched. A soft mark glowed on both of them, a silver ring behind their left ear. They were bonded. Married by the oldest law of Ilori. Kelida smiled through tears. "It is done." Liam held her hands. "Then no one can separate us now." But the peace didn't last. The next morning, Queen summoned Kalira to the throne room. Kalira walked through the golden halls with her head high. She was not afraid. Not anymore. The throne room was filled with nobles. Lord Varric stood beside. The queen, dressed in dark royal armor, he smiled at Kalira like she was a prize already won. The queen's voice rang out, sharp and cold. "Kalira, where were you last night?" Kalira stepped forward. "In the shrine. With whom?" "With the man I chose." Gasps filled the room. The queen's eyes narrowed. "You defy the crown?" Kalira raised her voice. "I followed the ancient rite. I followed the law of truth. I bonded myself to Liam Hayes of Earth." The room fell into silence. Then the queen asked, "Who's that?" Kalira turned slowly. Liam stepped into the room from the side door, dressed in simple clothes, but standing tall. The nobles whispered angrily. Kalira took his hand, and she said, clear and strong, "The human I married." Chaos erupted. Some nobles shouted. Others demanded her removal from the royal line. Lord Varric's face turned red with rage. The queen lifted her hand. Silence returned. "You have broken every rule," she said. "You've joined with a human. You've shamed your house." Kalira answered, "I've honored it by choosing love over fear, by choosing a partner who sees me as an equal." The queen looked at Liam. "And you? Do you think yourself worthy of a throne?" Liam shook his head. "No, I never wanted power. Only to stand beside Kalira, not above or below her." The queen studied him. For a moment, her eyes softened, but only for a second. "Leave us," she said to the court. When the room was empty, she stood and walked slowly toward her daughter. "You are my only child," she said quietly. "I have ruled for 40 years. I have protected our bloodline, our power, our peace." "I know," Kalira said. "I wanted to choose your path for you because I was afraid." Kalira blinked. "Afraid?" The queen nodded. "Of change, of weakness, of humans. But I see now, your strength is not in control. It is in freedom." She touched Kalira's cheek. "But the court will not accept this union." "Not yet. If you stay, both of you will be hunted. You must leave Ilari Prime." Kalira's eyes filled with tears. "You're exiling us?" "I'm protecting you," the queen whispered. "Go now, before the others can stop you. One day, maybe you'll return." Kalira turned to Liam. He nodded, already ready. They fled that night, leaving behind the palace, the crown, and the only world they had known. They had only each other now, but that was enough. Dust blew across the red plains of Velkar, a rough colony planet on the edge of the Ilari Empire. Harsh winds whistled through steel buildings and broken towers. This place was nothing like the glowing palace Kalira once knew, but it was now. Her home. Kalira and Liam had been living here for 3 months. No servants, no guards, no golden halls, just work, survival, and each other. Liam fixed machines in the colony's energy center. Kalira helped teach local children and used her psionic powers to grow food faster. People respected her even if they didn't. No, she was once a princess. To them, she was just Kai. But whispers had spread. Some guessed who she really was. And now, something worse had come. The Drelks, a violent alien species, like walking insects with armor-like skin, had begun attacking colonies near Velkar. They hated both humans and Iolari, and they destroyed everything in their path. Kalira had seen the images: burnt villages, crying children, entire cities turned to smoke. Fear grew in Velkar. One morning, the alarm sirens wailed. Kalira ran outside as people shouted and ran for shelter. Liam came sprinting from the energy tower. "Drelk ships in orbit," he said, breathing hard. "They're dropping soldiers. We need to help." They didn't run. They stood together. Kalira reached into her mind and summoned her energy. Psionic light glowed blue around her hands. Liam grabbed a weapon and old blaster, and followed her into the heart of the chaos. The Drelks were brutal. Their soldiers had sharp claws and thick armor. They hissed and roared, firing black beams from their arm weapons. Kalira stood in front of a line of children, shielding them with a glowing barrier. "Go!" she shouted. "Run to the caves!" The children ran. Liam covered them from the side, shooting 2 Drelks down with perfect aim, but there were too many. One Drelks charged straight at Kalira. Her barrier cracked. Screamed in pain, then Liam jumped in front of her. The Drelk's blade cut deep into his side. He fell. Kalira's scream echoed across the field. "No," she rushed to him. Blood soaked his side. His eyes fluttered. "Stay with me," she begged. The Drelks raised its blade to finish him. Kalira's mind exploded with light. Her psionic power surged like never before. She didn't just push the Drelks back, she sent it flying into the sky. All around her, her energy grew wild and bright. The ground shook. The sky turned blue with her power. The Drelks began retreating. The people stared at her. With awe and fear, she had saved the colony. But at a cost. Liam lay in the medical chamber. Hooked to machines, Kalira sat beside him, her hand holding his. He was alive but barely. She hadn't left his side for 2 days. Then a light blinked. A message beacon arrived. It floated toward her, opening to reveal a hologram. The Queen. Kalira's breath stopped. "My daughter," the Queen said, her voice soft. "I have watched from afar. I have seen what you and Liam have done. You saved Velkar. You saved innocent lives. The Empire knows of it now." The Queen looked tired. Her crown was missing. Her voice no longer held command but regret. "Was wrong," she said. "I thought love made you weak. I was wrong. It made you stronger than all of us." The message ended with a short line. "Come home." Kalira looked down at Liam. "I will," she whispered. "But not without you." 3 weeks later, Liam opened his eyes. His voice was weak. "You're still here?" She smiled. "Always." He tried to sit up, winced, and fell back. Kalira touched his forehead gently. "The Queen sent a message. She wants us to return to HFY Prime." Liam blinked. "Why?" "She saw what we did here. She changed." He gave a soft laugh. "Queens don't change." "She's still my mother," Kalira said, "giving us a chance." He looked into her eyes. "Then let's go." "Hey there, ship." Entered Ilari space weeks later. Kalira stood at the front, wearing a simple silver dress. Liam stood beside her in a dark coat, his side still bandaged. The landing pad was full of people. Crowds, banners, soldiers, nobles, and the Queen. She wore white instead of gold. Her face was hard to read. As Kalira and Liam stepped down the ramp, the people clapped softly at first, then louder and louder. Liam leaned close. "Is this for us?" Kalira whispered. Yes. He walked toward the queen. She stepped forward, looked at Liam, then her daughter. You returned? She? Said Kalira, nodded. You called, I answered. You broke every law, the queen said, but you saved our people. She looked at Liam. And you. You were once a stranger. Now you are one of us. Liam bowed slightly. I never asked to be a prince. I only asked to be your husband. The queen was silent for a moment. Then she looked at the royal council. Do you still call this union illegal? An old noble stepped forward. It is against the code. Another noble shouted. She shamed the bloodline. Kalira stepped forward, voice strong. No, I honored it. I followed an older law. The law of choice, of bond, of truth. She pointed at the mark behind her ears, a sign of the bonding ritual. We are joined by spirit, by sacrifice, by love, the people murmured, and he nodded. The queen raised her hand. The old ways must change, she said. Let the new era begin. She took Kalira's hand. Then slowly, she took Liam's, and she joined their hands together before the court. The princess has chosen. I accept it. Cheers erupted. The nobles looked angry, but the people roared with joy. Later that night, Kalira and Liam stood on the balcony of the palace. Lights filled the city. Fireworks rose into the sky. You did it, Liam said. We did it, she replied. He looked at her. What happens now? She smiled. Now. We help rule a world that is finally ready for change. He kissed her forehead and she whispered, Thank you, Liam, for walking into my life, for not leaving even when it was hard. He smiled. Thank you for choosing me. Below them, the city celebrated, and in the stars above, peace finally had a name. The sound of celebration still echoed across the great halls of the royal palace. But for Liam and Kalira, peace was far away. The queen had accepted them. The people had cheered, but the high council, the noble houses, they had not forgotten. The past, in secret meetings, they whispered. In hidden chambers, they planned. Kalira saw it in their eyes. Polite smiles, sharp tongues. Liam felt it too. Some guards refused to salute him. Some advisors ignored him. They saw him not as a prince but as a human mistake. Still, Kalira held her head high. She attended every meeting with pride. She spoke. For those who had no voice, the commoners, the border colonies, the humans who now lived under Ilari rule. Liam stood beside her. He didn't speak often in court, but when he did, his words were honest and clear. He was not a noble. He had no power. But people listened. Even Queen Zyrel, once cold and firm, now watched them with quiet approval. She had changed, but slowly. However, peace was not made in a day, and far beyond the palace walls. War returned. It started on a distant world, Vorant 3, a small mining colony with both Ilari and human settlers. Fleet of Drelks, ships attacked without warning, buildings burned, families died, and the Queen's warning system failed. When the message reached Ilari Prime, the royal court gathered at once. Liam stood with Kalira in the great council hall. Queen Zyril sat on her throne, her face dark with worry. They destroyed everything, said the defense commander. 3,000 lives lost. No survivors. Gasps filled the room. The queen stood. We cannot wait. We must protect the outer rim. Kalira, Liam, you have lived in the colonies. You know those people? Lead this mission. Kalira nodded without. Fear will go. Liam stepped forward. We won't fail. Some nobles whispered, shocked, sending the princess and her human husband to war. Unheard of. But Queen Zyril silenced them with one look. They saved Velker. They'll save the rim. A week later, their ship the Starborn Flame left the royal docks. Headed for the edge of the galaxy, Liam wore battle armor now, not for show, but for war. Kalira wore her psionic robes, glowing with energy and power. Their crew was mixed. Humans and Ilari, young and old. Warriors, engineers, medics, and scouts. They didn't care about bloodlines. They only cared about surviving and winning. On the second night, Liam and Kalira stood in the command room, staring at a map full of blinking red lights. Too many attacks, Kalira said. The Drelks are moving fast. They know our defenses are slow, Liam replied. They strike and vanish before we respond. Kalira looked at him. So we strike first, he smiled. Now that sounds like a proper war plan. Their ship arrived at Farnix, a hidden colony on a moon, near Drelk's space. The colony was under threat. Civilians were preparing to flee. The governor begged for help. We can't stop them, he said. Don't have soldiers. We don't have ships. You do now, Liam said. We'll stay. We'll fight. Kalira added, and we'll win. They built barricades. They trained the colonists. Liam taught the young men and women to use blasters and grenades. Kalira created mental shields to protect their minds from Drelk's fear venom. When the Drelks came, they came hard. 10 ships landed. Hundreds of Drelk soldiers poured out roaring, firing, destroying everything in their path. But Kalira stood in front of the gates, her eyes glowing blue, and Liam stood beside her, holding a battle rifle. For Ilari, she said. For Earth, he said together. For all of us. The battle lasted all night. Liam led the left flank, pushing back wave after wave of Drelks with smoke bombs and sharp tactics. He moved fast, smart, always protecting the weaker fighters. Kalira was everywhere, lifting rubble with her mind, shielding wounded colonists, striking Drelks with psionic blasts. Her body bled, but her spirit never broke. Even when the Drelk's commander, a massive monster with 4 arms and glowing red eyes, charged through the defenses. Clara didn't run. She stood her ground. The creature roared, raising a double-bladed weapon. Liam fired, hitting its armor, but it didn't stop. Kalira screamed, summoning all her power. Light exploded from her hands. The creature flew back, crashing into a stone wall. Silence followed. Then, the colony was safe. The next day, survivors built a new symbol at the gate. A statue of a human and an Ilari, standing side by side below it. They carved a name, Hopeborn. More battles followed. Kalira and Liam went from world to world, defending outposts, saving lives, bringing order to chaos. Their names spread like fire. To the common people, they were heroes. To the nobles, they were dangerous, because they were changing everything back on Ilari Prime. The council grew restless. They were getting too much support, one noble hissed. The people adore them. They will replace us. They're symbols of a future we don't control. Queen Ziril heard every word. She stood in her private chamber, looking at a star map where her daughter's ship blinked far away. She is not the same girl I raised, the queen whispered. But maybe. That's a good thing. She turned to her aide. Send them a message. It's time. Back in deep space, the message arrived. Kalira and Liam sat in their ship's private chamber. The message opened. The queen appeared. My children, she said, her voice soft. You've done what no one else could. You've given people hope. You've united our kinds. You've shown what love can do. She paused, but some will never accept it. They fear change. They fear you. Kalira's eyes narrowed. What are you saying? The queen continued. There will be danger ahead. There may be betrayal. Be ready. But remember this. If you fall, you will not fall alone. The people are with you. Liam reached over and held Kalira's hand. We knew this wouldn't be easy, he said. But we're not going back, she replied. He smiled. No, we're going forward. That night, Liam stood on the deck, looking at the stars. Kalira joined him, wrapping her arms around his waist. Do you miss Earth? She asked. Sometimes, he said. But Earth never felt like home. Not like this. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I never thought I'd love a man from another world, he laughed. I never thought I'd marry a glowing alien princess. She smiled. You didn't just marry a princess, Liam. You married a fighter, and I wouldn't change a thing. Above them, stars moved slowly. But below, on every world they visited, one name echoed again and again. Kalira and Liam. The princess and the human. The bond that defied empire's end saved them. Dark clouds filled the sky above Alari Prime. The planet was changing politically, socially, even spiritually. But deep within the royal palace, something darker was brewing. The High Council had met in secret. They feared Kalira and Liam. They feared their growing support, and they feared what would come next. "They're no longer just warriors," said one noble. "They're symbols. The people love them. They weaken the old ways," said another. "And soon they will take the throne." A third voice whispered coldly, "Then let us stop them before they arrive." Kalira and Liam sat aboard the starborn flame, orbiting Ilari Prime. The planet below glowed bright. But something in the air felt wrong. "This doesn't feel like a welcome," Liam said quietly, staring out the window. Kalira nodded. "The Queen sent for us. But the others, they're not happy." They had just returned from their final mission, driving the Drelks away from the border world of Relin. The victory had been massive. Humans and Ilari had fought side by side. Under their command now, they were coming home, not as rebels, but as heroes. Or so they thought. They landed at the royal spaceport. No crowd, no music, no banners, just silence. And soldiers, Liam's hand moved toward his weapon. Him, not yet. They stepped down together, dressed not in armor, but in royal robes, Gaiskull, matched, bonded. A voice greeted them coldly. "Princess Kalira." "Liam Hayes, you are under arrest for illegal use of power, betrayal of tradition, and inciting rebellion." Was Lord Virex, the very noble Kalira had once refused to marry. Liam's eyes narrowed. "This is a trap." Kalira stood firm. "You cannot arrest us," came at the Queen's command. Lord Varric smirked. "The Queen no longer rules here." Soldiers surrounded them. But Kalira did not panic. She raised her voice and shouted to the skies. "We call the bond." It was an ancient phrase known only by the bonded, and heard by the people. Across Ilari Prime, every psionic, every warrior, every commoner who had followed their journey, heard her cry, and they answered. Within minutes, the palace gates trembled. Hundreds thousands of citizens arrived, men and women, Ilari and human, young and old, all marched toward the palace. Some carried torches, some held banners. All of them shouted one name, Kalira, and beside her, they cheered for another, Liam. Inside the palace, Queen Zyril stood alone in the throne room, dressed in white robes. Her crown resting on the seat beside her, she had heard what the council had done, and she had made her choice. She walked to the balcony. The people looked. Up. They waited. Kale, Ira, and Liam stood below. Surrounded by guards but untouched, Queen Zyril raised her voice, strong and clear. "My people, I have ruled for 40 years. I have kept peace. But I also made mistakes." She paused. "I feared change. I feared unity. But my daughter and her husband, yes, her human husband, showed me another way." Gasps echoed across the city. Queen Zyril continued. "They fought not for power, but for peace. Not for bloodlines, but for all life. If such love is a crime, then let me be guilty too." The crowd roared. The Queen turned to the guards below. "Let them go." The guards stepped back. Kalira and Liam stepped forward. The Queen smiled, and then she did something no queen had done in a century. She stepped down from the throne and placed the crown into her daughter's hands. The coronation took place 1 week later. The palace was full again this time, with cheers, with color, life. Humans and Ilari stood side by side. Kalira wore silver armor and a glowing blue cloak. Liam stood beside her in royal black and red. Together they walked toward the throne. Queen Zyril stood at the side, proud but quiet. The high priest spoke the ancient words. From fire and frost, from past and future, we crown not just rulers, but hope. Kalira stepped forward. "I accept this crown not for myself, but for all who believe in unity." Liam stepped beside her. "I accept this duty not as a ruler, but as a partner to peace. Okay. The crown was placed on Kalira's head. A second crown, a simpler one, was placed on Liam's, and then they turned to the people. For the first time in Ilari history, the priest said, "We welcome our new queen and her bonded king." The palace exploded with cheers. In the months that followed, everything began to change. Old laws were rewritten. Humans were granted full rights. Colonies once forgotten received supplies and support. Mixed councils were formed. Humans, Ilari, and other allied species working together. Children learned both Ilari history and Earth's, and a new festival was created. Bonding Day celebrated every year on the day Kalira and Liam returned. It was a day of love, peace, and promise. One evening, Liam stood on the balcony of the palace. Looking over the lights of Ilari Prime, Kalira joined him, her hand slipping into his. "We did it," he said softly. She smiled. "We did." He looked at her. "Do you think it'll last?" She nodded. As long as we remember why we started." "Not for power, not for glory," he added, "but for each other." She leaned her head on his shoulder, "and for the future." Far beyond the stars, a small girl sat on her bed, reading a book by the glow of a crystal lamp. The title read, "The Princess and the Human, a True Story." She smiled. Because now, every child, human or alien, knew that love could change empires.